familiar with Ubuntu or other forms of Linux that give you colors in your green screen, for those who don't know, green screen is a generic reference to terminal windows. By default, Apple's terminal windows are two color. One color for the background, one color for the foreground, and that's it. The default is a hideous black text on white background with some variable options. I prefer the homebrew version, which is a black background with the green text. But again, there's no color, so it's kind of obnoxious. So anyway, without further ado, basically, I don't use terminal. I use something called iTerm2. iTerm2 I find gives me a little bit more flexibility. One of the big things being the capability to create different different windows on the fly. I can split my window in half, something I can't do with that. I can create a tab. I can split that one vertically and then split that one horizontally. It really doesn't matter. The big thing is just the increased functionality of it. You know, I prefer to have that kind of setting as opposed to being stuck and limited with what I get from iTunes, or not iTunes, I'm sorry, Mac's default terminal. So anyway, let's clear the buffer out here. So what we're looking at is your standard terminal. Now, like I said, it's normally green screen, it's normally ugly. Everybody likes colors. As you can see, I have got colors. I accomplished this by editing a file most people don't know about called profile, .profile to be specific. So I use Nano. You can use Vi or Vim, whichever one you prefer. I like Nano. It's easier for basic use. So we go ahead and we open up that file, and you'll see there's a series of commands called aliases in here. All right. Alias basically says, I want to take whatever's here and make it do this. So when I type ls, I actually want it to type in for me ls space capital G, minus capital G. All right. What that does is that takes the command, it kind of interrupts it when I'm typing and says, I'm going to make ls and put the capital G parameter to it. And if I type LSA, it'll do the same thing, LSL, LSLA. Okay, for those who are familiar with Linux, you'll know that ls minus L is your long list, ls minus A is your hidden files, and so forth. I prefer not to have to type the minuses. I'd rather just go LSLA. Oh, look, there's hidden files in the long format. LSL, oh, look, there's my long format. LSA, oh, there's my hidden files in short format. For me, it's just simpler that way. So, the great thing about aliases in the .profile file is you can actually add ones that don't currently exist. Obviously, I mean, those ones didn't exist originally. I added them in, but you can add other stuff, commonly used commands, things like that. For instance, I have a file that I use at work constantly. We have a lot of servers we have to SSH into, and for me it's easier just to have a menu to SSH into them than it is to SSH space username at server name minus P port blah blah blah, and have to go through all that rigmarole. So what I could do is I can create an alias here that says, you know, this is what I want it to do. Now I keep that file in my home, so I can put the / that says, go to my root directory, my home directory, my personal one. That's where the file will be. And because it's not a bash bin script, it's not sitting somewhere in an area that can be run from anywhere, even though it's got executable rights, I need to do the / to specify that it can be run. So we put in ssh menu .sh, and we close it out with a single quote. And that basically tells the system, look in my home folder for this file and run it whenever I type in JSSH. So now I'm going to quit and save this file, and I'm going to type in JSSH, and there's the file. So I can say, okay, you know, HomeNet is the stuff at my house, so I want to go there. Oh, look, there's my file server. I can connect to that now. And it wants my password, so I'll go ahead and put in my password. And here's another great part where this comes in handy. Okay, so here's my server. Let's say I want to look at something in my Zymon folder. Well, you know, it would help if I put the right directory. It's not Zymon anymore, it's Hobbit. No, it's not Hobbit. That's cute. Let's take a look at that. Oh yeah, that would help, huh? ETX, not ETC. Hey, well, you know, no one's perfect, right? Alright, so we got to look in the Hobbit file, and we have the BB hosts. Now, anybody who knows about Xymon monitoring, BB hosts is kind of the heart and soul of your system. I obviously don't want to show you what's in that file because, well, to be perfectly honest with you, it's kind of confidential information. So let's just say I want to look at BB services. Okay, so we're going to pull that up. Now it gave me an error because I'm opening it in a read-only format because I didn't use a sudo before I pulled it. And we can go ahead and scroll down to a couple services. Now let's say I'm looking at those and I'm like, oh shoot, you know what? I need to know a different setting that I have on another server. I can split this screen and I can go and do my JSSH again and go to there, and let's just, for the sake of argument, I'll use the telnet menu. And let's say I need to go and talk to the Linksys router because it's got information I need in it for the purposes of this. So I'll put in the password. Oh look, there's my there's that. Oh look, okay. So now let's say I'm getting my data. I can then jump back to the other window I was in, continue what I was doing, exit, and be done with that. And I can disconnect from that server. And if you note, the menu returned me back to where I was, back up to the main menu, and then exit out. I can exit out of this. Now I'm still in the RV82, so I can quit. Okay, I can exit. And then I'm back in this menu again, and I can back out of here. And that puts me back at my prompt. So the whole point of this was the benefit of the .profile file. So if you've got commands that you typically run a lot, let's say you're running df a lot, or you're running rsyncs, things like that, stuff that needs to be run on a regular basis, but you don't want to bash, you don't want to script it into cron. This gives you a good place that you can set up an alias to run a command without actually having to put a lot of effort into it. And especially on a Mac, having the colors, for me, I just like having the color. It looks a lot prettier than just seeing hideous green screen.